Today I'm going to talk about something that goes unnoticed a lot, and it's called sterilog malware. And you might be familiar with, if you've ever seen keyloggers back in the day, keyloggers would someone infect your machine and just steal your keystrokes. And that's how they were getting passwords. But now hackers are not hacking in anymore. They're just logging in. They're using the credentials. And when I explain how this malware works, you're probably going to be a little bit surprised. But I'll tell you about who I am. I'm a husband, father, brother, mother to some people, a doctor of computer science, keynote speaker, ethical hacker, and consultant. I've been doing this for over 25 years. My first hack was when I was a kid. And you know, I asked the FBI for the statute of limitations. I used to photocopy money. And I would go to the laundromats and the car washes, and I would just empty them. Get all the quarters, and that's how I learned how to play video games. And I had a lot of money as kids. I'd buy bikes and stuff. My parents were like, where are you getting all this stuff from? But that was my first hack. So hacking is more than you just going inside of a computer. It's the way that you think. You can hack people. You can hack almost anything. You know, a lot of times when I go to a gas station, if it's busy and they have one across the street, I take my flipper and change the price to like 99 cents on the sign for that one. Everybody rushes over there and I have any pump that I want. So it's things like that, just the way that you're thinking. So let me give you a disclaimer. My company my views does not reflect my company views. I work at a company called MMA or its affiliates, because a lot of the companies that I'm going to show you on here are our clients. So I have to say that to stay safe. This is for informational purposes only. Please don't go back doing this stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get into a lot of trouble, especially if you're using credentials that you find on the dark web and you log into somebody's portal, or if you log into somebody's account, their Facebook account. Not saying I've done it, but you know, you can get in a lot of trouble. And I'm not responsible for any actions or third party mentioned in this talk. And the only reason I do this, I've gotten cease and desist letters from some of the major vendors, and they get mad when I expose them. And it's not that I'm anti-vendor or I'm anti-anything. I'm anti-bullshit. If your product doesn't work, don't market it to people like it does. But cybersecurity has become big business. But, so in my research, I analyzed over 500 million credentials from over 1 million infected computers. So cyber criminals are taking this advanced malware because they're making it. I'm not a coder, but I can take code off of GitHub and change it for what I need to use it for. But this is so advanced, this malware, it goes undetected a lot of times with MDR, XDR, whatever initials you put on it, it can go undetected. This is why some of the major companies in the United States, government agencies, have their credentials out there on the dark web. So my research was extensive, and it occurred after sometimes the breaches took place, and sometimes before. If you understand how to research or find the sterilog, you can prevent companies from getting breached with someone just using those credentials. But the bad actors are selling them. So when you find it out there, more than likely, they're good. So BYOD, if you work in an organization and you're allowing your employees to use their company email for personal reasons, I can guarantee you almost 99.99% of the time, your credentials are compromised. If you're allowing them to log into their email because your email is exposed to the internet, which you don't have to expose your email to the internet, and I'll explain. If I can go to whatever.com and get to your email server, that means everybody else can too. And MFA can be easily bypassed if you don't turn off legacy authentication. They can use POP or IMAP. So allowing people to use BYOD devices, you have to be really careful, because this is not about just hacking into companies, what these bad actors are doing, they're actually infecting machines. And some of this malware, after it infects the machine, it disappears. It deletes itself. And 9 times out of 10, it takes screenshots. 9 times out of 10, you can see a person want to install a file that has malware on it, and they'll disable their virus protection if it catches it. So cyber criminals have deployed this all over. So they're Trojans. The only job of that malware is to steal your credentials. That's it. It does nothing else. It can also use almost any application on your computer. This is why Google Chrome is no more on my computer. Chrome is gone. I don't use Gmail or nothing because this malware loves Google Chrome. If you've been using it to log on anything, it's going to take your credentials. It can go to your crypto wallets, any credit cards, any browser data, cookies, your history, just unbelievable. And it's so widespread. And most of it is on Telegram. You can go on Telegram and you can subscribe. And afterwards, if you guys want, I can show you what channels and how to get it. But all this is right on Telegram, and they're selling Stiller logs. Anywhere from $5, even a monthly subscription. So over 1 billion little groups are doing this. So if you look at it, there are gigabytes of files, and all of this data has credentials in it. So that means someone's infected, the bad actors are getting the data, and they're putting it on the dark web after they verify it. And you can use all types of software. So this is one program I use called Daily Cloud. It goes and pulls information for me. And I'm friends with these guys, so they don't charge me for these logger files. But right now, I have 40 terabytes worth of Stiller logs. So, what are Stillers? Very boring malware being sold. You can go on the dark web and know nothing about it, and they have it as a service. You can subscribe, and you can infect someone, and mostly Redline, Raccoon, and Meta are some of the big ones. But you can do it as a service. You can actually go out there, know nothing about it, infect someone, and then get their credentials. So data harvesting. What things are stolen? MFA user tokens. Anything to do with web browsers, anything stored in it. Authentication cookies. Web browser autofill information. Email credentials. Your history. Your documents. Your credit card details. Your chat logs. Your VPN credentials. This is why if you're allowing your VPNs or anything to be internet facing, you're vulnerable. If I can go to vpn.whatever.com, you're vulnerable. The only way to stay safe is you need to have an application or something. You never need to expose anything to the internet. And I don't know if you guys know how to use Shodan, but you can take Shodan and you can do just a search for every port 22 that's out there on the internet, and you can find everybody that's vulnerable. Then you can find all the vulnerabilities that they have, and then you can just go exploit them. And I'll show you guys, I'll show you just how easy it is. So when I parse this data, look at the information I get. I get cookies, all of this data. And then, it takes a while to understand it. If you got to understand JSON too. But once I'm getting everything, the desktop name, what antivirus they're using, even what the vendor of what type of network card they have, their IP address, every single solitary thing. So much data is included that's being sent out. And here is the bad thing. This data that's being sent out is by the Chrome browser. Why do they use the Chrome browser or applications that normally send data out or make calls out to the internet? Because it goes undetected. Who's going to figure out that this information is going out? But I'm going to tell you how you can monitor for that before I'm done. But you can use Postgres database, and you can see you can do certain queries. You can use Elasticsearch, which is pretty good for indexing, but you can see it takes time. And then you can use ClickHouse. So I use a bunch of things, but this is what putting it all together does. I have the person's email, I have their email domain, their password, and then whatever URL they went to get that, the Distiller log. And as you can tell, I just made this up because I can get in a lot of trouble for exposing passwords. But you can see, this is everything I get from the Distiller logs. Microsoft Online, so that would be a Microsoft account. A HubSpot. So just imagine, here's an example. This is how victims are. You're at home, you're working on your personal laptop, right? You download Notepad++. But Notepad++ from a website that you believe is legit. If you download any software, do not go to a site that says sponsored. That is not the website. Somebody's sponsoring that site. A lot of times when you're downloading software, it has Distiller log malware in it. You install it, it acts just like the program. Its only job is to steal your credentials and send them to the person who infected you. That's it. And it'll use your browser or anything it can use to send the data out. So when they attempt to install it, sometimes the information, it harvests their credentials. And they don't even know. So logs are packaged and they're sold by cyber criminals. And they're selling it. And I'm going to show you guys, and we'll do a little bit of other stuff. So cyber criminal named Lewis uses the user credential, identifying the user. I always use myself on an organizational network. The organization in question is not configured for MFA, which meant now I can just use it and just authenticate and get on their network. So if you don't have MFA enabled, you're probably really vulnerable. But I access your corporate network of the victim of the organization and undetected using stolen credentials. So if you log in with credentials, what's really going to stop you? If I go to your PayPal account and you have MFA set up, it'll probably stop me. But if you don't, it's not. If I go to your Facebook and it's not set up, well, what about your Netflix accounts and everything else? So relying on cybersecurity solutions and vendors, 80% of them do not work. How many of you guys use cybersecurity vendors and you see breaches every day? Look at all of these. All of them got breached. Every last one of those companies. And guess what? They're using the Ciscos, the CrowdStrikes, and everybody else, but they got compromised. And the majority of these is because the bad actors just log right in with their credentials. So where does this happen? It happens everywhere. Every time you download something, it's getting so bad with these Distiller logs, and I'm going to show you. So why? So when we look at this on Telegram, this is kind of what you'll see on Telegram. And then passwords, why? Because passwords are used for logging into things, right? Everybody uses passwords. And cookies. You don't even need to log into things sometimes with cookies because it stores your credentials. And then when you click on it, it just logs in. And then autofills a lot of random shit, right? So mitigation, how do you stop it? You need to provide security awareness training. You need to have MFA and zero trust access. Zero trust access means that if you're a programmer and you need to get to a database, I use software-defined networking to give you access to it, and I don't have to expose like let's see if they need port 22 to the internet. Only that user will be able to get there because I've built the zero trust access. And now to a hacker that scans your environment, they'll never see it. And I'm going to show you guys something that's really, and I hate doing PowerPoints. I'm going to show you guys some stuff live. And then you have to disallow the use of corporate email. And I know it's going to be hard. But if you don't disallow it, if they use, most of the time we're creatures of habit, we're going to use the same passwords, they're going to get compromised. And then you have to monitor true east-west traffic. I'm not talking about the Veronuses and all this. Most people have solutions. East-west traffic means your internal traffic. North-south traffic is coming out of the internet into your firewall. If you're not monitoring true east-west traffic, you're behind the curve. And if you're using something like Varonis and they're taking a mirror port off of switches, you're vulnerable. The only way to truly monitor east-west traffic, you have to monitor the switch's metadata, or what we call net flows. So on Cisco switches, you can turn on net flows and you can see a lot of information. But if you are doing a mirror port, you're taxing your network. You need to really look at east-west traffic because that's how bad actors move. Now, what if I could tell you right now, there's a way for you to monitor east-west traffic, all your packets, all your net flows, and it's impossible for a bad actor to move in your environment without being seen. There's a solution out there that does it. And not only that, it looks at the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Every single solitary attack vector that's out there, it's looking for all your traffic for anything that resembles it. Even if someone has credentials to encrypt files, it's still going to stop them. What other software is going to do it? Because it's going to say, wait a minute, they're encrypting files. So what do I need to do? I need to block them. So, and then you should have nothing internet facing. So let me get out of here and I'm going to show you a few things. So this is FBI.gov. As you can see, 26 users, 24 employees, 61 credentials. You can see that their FS1 on their government server, their ADFS, that's an employee. These are all, and you can get more data, and I'm sorry I couldn't share it with you, but afterwards I'll tell you how to get all of this stuff or to contact this company. This is the Russian guy who taught me how to do this, that actually have the platform. But as you can see, these are employee credentials from employee websites. These are logons. Now, inside the platform, it breaks it down to every username, all of the employees, and then any third-party credentials. So that's their Facebook, anything that they go to, their Instagram, you name it. So here is CrowdStrike. Look how many compromised users CrowdStrike has. And I'm not dogging CrowdStrike by any means. But you see, here is their platform is Falcon, right? There's a logon for Falcon. So if that's an administrator, guess what happens? I go in there and I just push out that update. Or I just take a company down. These are all users of CrowdStrikes. This is their customers. And their credentials are out there. They're Falcon logons to control their endpoint protection for all of their computers is right there on the dark web. This is Cisco. So if you're using Cisco, probably you have a Sterilog out there or some. Look at how many Cisco compromised users there are. And if we look at this, and I wish I could log on and show you guys this, but I'll get in trouble. I had to sign an NDA just to show you guys this, but I can talk to you after if you want to get all this information. But their cloud SSO login, their employee, their mail, their employee, their Cisco cloud, you name it, their SSO. So what does this mean? That an employee used their employee credentials on Cisco Cloud's SSO They logged in probably on a personal computer or their work computer. We'd have to go into the logs and see, and their credentials got stolen. That is a lot. And this is third party. So that means if they have their insurance, anything that they have that third party credentials, it steals every single solitary password, credit card data. And this is Cisco. And if we go at the top, that's a lot. So that's compromised users. That means not only Cisco employees, but that's users. So if Cisco's logon is infected with stealer logs, which is this is their server, if you log on their server, it just stole your credentials. And this is Oracle. As you see, Oracle has some issues. Their users have issues. All of those credentials are out on the dark web. And you can go to Telegram and you can parse the data and you can get all types of information. This guy, his service is expensive, but it's worth it. But as you can see, my SSO log on. So what that means when you see the log on, that is where they logged on and got their credentials stolen. So the way this malware works is you download something. It could be a picture, something on Facebook. It could be an application that you use every day. And you go to a compromised site, or you try to get some type of keylogger to get around paying for software, or maybe you got a cheat code because you're a gamer. You download it and infects your machine, and its only job is to steal your credentials and send it to the person who infected you. And then this is what happens. You get the compromise. So every time, so let's say that computer is infected with malware and you log into your company email, you just gave the bad actors your information. Let's say you can manage your IT department, or you can log into your firewall, and you should never have an internet facing like that without at least, using IPs, at least have some type of quarantine or something. They have those credentials. So what's making this worse and why it's never going to end? Because we need to get rid of passwords. We're going to have to go passwordless. And this was not to scare anybody. This was to bring awareness to what happens. But why are these companies so bad? Why is this happening? You know why? If you came here today, who came here today and their company paid for them? Who came and their company didn't? So how many people can go to any conference they want to go to and their company pay it for 100%? He's got a good company. My company does the same thing. If your company, and I'm going to go off topic a little bit, if they're not paying for you to get training, you need to find another company to work for. And if you having a problem finding a job, I know a lot of people in this industry. I will stay up at night, and not because I was drinking last night anyway, but I will help you to find a job. That's how dedicated I am to this space and to people who come to conferences like this. Because there's no way you shouldn't be trained. You should know stealer logs exist. But if you don't come to conferences and you don't listen to the speakers, you'll never see things like this. You'll never understand how you're infected. But this Russian guy is so good. On his system, I can go in and tell exactly what file is infected and sending the stealer logs out. He even uses Windows Update, EXE, to send it out. Because what virus protection is going to think that that's not supposed to connect to the internet? So this is why, this stuff is stealthy. And another thing, we just looked at some companies, and I'm not dogging them out, so please don't send me a cease and desist, Cisco. But they have cybersecurity solutions, and they have all of it. Look at all of these compromised users and employees. So are they using their solution? And if they do, it sucks, or aren't they using it? Why is all of these companies, they can do the same thing I just did. They can go on the dark web. They can see that their credentials are compromised, and then they can either alert the users, change passwords, or figure out how it's going out and prevent it. They're not doing anything. And they're making hacking's easy. You don't have to sit at your and learn programming. All you have to do is infect somebody with Stiller logs and just get their credentials and log in. You could be a multi-billionaire in months. It's just that easy. And if you don't know how to do it, there's a service on the dark web that you can just pay $100 a month or whatever, and they'll do everything for you and you'll get it sent to you. Or you can go on GitHub and just do a little bit of research, and all of that Stiller malware is out there. And see, this isn't about the employee. Sometimes some of these solutions, they do work. But you know what? If you're allowing your employees to log on their personal computer, or it can affect phones too, they're going to get compromised. So we have to get away from passwords. But in order for things like this that are new to be discovered, your companies have to pay for you to go to conferences. And if they don't, it's a shame. I've sat in rooms with CISOs. Everybody in the room is a CISO. And I tell them, where the hell are your people at? They're the ones that got to use this crap that you go out and buy and get a 3-year contract, and now it doesn't work, and they're forced to use it, but yet they can't even go to the conference and find out how to vet vendors properly and see if it works or not. It's ridiculous. This is going to continue to happen until people are educated. And then you know what happens with you guys, and I know I'm off topic, but I'm passionate about this. You get imposter syndrome. I had imposter syndrome for years. I wouldn't even do talks. Dr. Chase Cunningham, I always give him credit. He said, Lewis, you're one of the smartest people I know. I said, no, you're the smartest person I know. And I'm not that smart. I just think like a hacker. That's all you have to do is develop your hacker mindset. And it's the same thing. If you're at a job that's unfulfilling and you're not being trained, you're going to get imposter syndrome. You know what you're doing, and nothing against certifications, but hackers don't have certifications. I hired a young lady, no certifications. She just went to a boot camp, and I will put her up against anybody in the field because she's dedicated to want to learn. So if you want to learn, there is a hacker community out here that will teach you anything you want to know. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll find somebody to help you. But that's what happens when you come to conferences and you need to network with people and find out about stuff like this. Because if you don't, you'll never know it existed. How many people in this room knew that this Stiller log malware was out there? We talked about it. Did you know how bad it was? And how these companies are, the FBI, everybody, Booz Allen, they have more than anyone. But this is because there's an ignorance in cybersecurity. We're concentrating too much on vendors, and we're allowing vendors to tell us how to do cybersecurity. You know how we do cyber? We look at every packet, every net flow. We don't need endpoint protection is good, but I can use Microsoft Defender. Believe it or not, yeah, go ahead.
People out there, they think that they're aloof. They don't think that this is a private.
Exactly.
Goes out there, somebody else is sitting back and listening and can't. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's what they take forward. The person in the booth has no idea. It says, I went to the conference, you have much out to talk, therefore for that.
Yep.
Company then said, we're the same people that talk.
And every talk, and I never dog anybody's talk, whether, I'm an animated person. So I can captivate an audience, but people, to get up in front of people and do this, it's not easy. But if you don't listen, he's exactly right. How do you get this through? But you can be your own worst enemy. I'm gonna tell you, if you're in an IT department and you're telling people, oh, you're gonna get breached, it's only a matter of time, you're gonna get breached, then why are they gonna get you trained or anything? Because you're telling them you can't do anything about it. Even though it's true, stop being your own Achilles heel. But you know who you need to really be able to talk to is the person who holds the key to the money. Tell them this is the return on investment. How much is our reputation worth? Is it only worth this? Because if you don't get this solution and allow me to do this, then our reputation is no more than what it costs for that solution if it works. But there's a way to do things, but you have to open up your mind. You have to always think you're compromised. You have to develop a hacker mindset. You have to go and learn this stuff on your own. You just can't depend on somebody, because 45 minutes I couldn't teach you how to do this stuff in 45 minutes. But my students, I used to be a college professor. Every last one of my students they either worked for the FBI or they had their dream job. And not because I was just that great of a teacher, it's because they went beyond what I taught them. I learned about this still from a Russian kid that's here getting his dissertation, doing his dissertation, and he showed me, and I didn't believe this stuff. I'm like, this dude is just making stuff up until I seen it. And I could not believe it. I'm like, this can't be. All of these companies can't be this oblivious. They can do the same thing, but they refuse to do it. So this cybersecurity is more about networking and learning from people. Learn from other people. I learn from people all the time. I met a guy last night. The guy is he's unknown, but he's probably one of the best coders that I've ever talked to. And I'm not a coder, and I know he knows what he's talking about. So when you come to these conferences and you see this type of stuff, do your research. Don't just believe in me, look it up. And you'll see. Of course, it would die down. But on a real tip, if you're not getting training, reach out to me. If you don't know something, you want to learn something, reach out to me. Because you know what I'll do? I'll find you a mentor. I'll mentor you myself, or I'll find somebody that can explain things if you have trouble understanding, but never give up. Because I'm going to tell you, I can guarantee you at least 5 people in this room or more has imposter syndrome. Like this gentleman said it great. You tell somebody something and they don't listen. This is why I don't like being a consultant. I tell customers all the time that this is what you have. I do scans. And you'd be amazed what you can find. So I'm going to give you guys a few tools that you can use. If you never use DNS Dumpster, so DNS Dumpster will give you a bunch of information. So if you need to find, I can tell I'm messed up. I can't even. So let's say if we do FBI.gov. If you want to find all somebody has internet facing, you can just go there. All of their servers, their IP addresses, their email, if they have email security turned on or not. There are tools out there. If we can do it, the hackers are doing it. So if you don't have certifications, don't feel bad. I have none. The only reason I have a PhD is because I had imposter syndrome. I tried to go to teach at a major university. Out of 100 people, I got chosen. Then they said, would you send us your credentials, your transcripts? I'm like, I haven't gone to school. They were like, what? Well, we can't hire you. I'm like, wait a minute. I beat all these 100 people out and you can't hire me because of. So I signed up at that school that day and I went all the way through. Because it's about helping people. You know, at one time I was selfish. I wanted to become the world's famous hacker and do some stuff, and I didn't care about anybody but myself. But then I woke up one day and said, what good am I if I learn all of this knowledge and I don't give it back to the community? This is why we come to conferences. This is the type of speaker, and they're out there. Dr. Chase Cunningham is very passionate. But it's not always about the technical. It's about knowledge, understanding how to do simple things like this. But you can actually go in, and now you can take that IP address, and you just put it in Showdown. And now you can look for every single vulnerability that someone has. And it's just that simple. And Showdown, just so you know, it is, oops. Oh, you don't want to let me go. I don't know, Showdown's probably down now. Yep. But anyway, let me make sure my internet. Yeah. Showdown might be down. No, I'm on I didn't use their Wi-Fi. But you know, sometimes I get blocked a lot. This one company blocks me. I think they have all of my stuff because sometimes when I do talks, I'll show people stuff and they don't want it. But Showdown, it looks like it's down. So let me check real quick. I'll use DuckDuckGo. But there are tools out there, and if you want me to, I'll give you a list of tools that are just will make your life easy. So whenever I do threat hunting for a customer, I start off with DNS Dumpster. I look at MX Toolbox. Now I can look at and see their email server if they have their DMARC policy set. And then, believe it or not, when I test customers, I will telnet to their port 25. Do you know you can telnet to any port 25? Any email server, you can connect to it. You can telnet to port 25, and it's going to connect. You can't block it because the email goes through port 25. And if they don't have spam policy set up, you can go in. You can't send external emails, but you can send one from the CFO or the CEO to CFO and say you're fired, get out now, and it looks legitimate. See what kind of stuff you can cause, or I need you to send this payment to this, and here's everything. If it's coming from the CR, you're going to go in his office and say, hey, most companies don't. But see, that's the sort of things that you learn from conferences. I didn't even know it was possible to just do it. And I thought a guy was lying until he sent an email to me from me. And you scare people. Well, I had a scary thing because I logged on to the White House email server and sent an email during class. But the Secret Service contacted me at the school and said, you might not want to do that anymore. But let's see if Showdown works on here. So it's down. So Showdown got attacked. That's so funny. Or maybe they're out. But there are a bunch of tools that you can use that can help you to do your job. And then learn things like Kali Linux. Kali Linux is easy. So there are things you can do to enhance your skills. And you can just go on Telegram. And, I'm going to write a white paper so people can do it. You can go on Telegram and subscribe to all of these channels where all of these stellar logs are at. And then after they sell them, most of the time the guys will give it to you for free. Some don't even sell it. And all you have to do is, and I'm writing a parser, and I'm not a coder, that can parse the data. And you can get every single detail from those stellar logs. So if they're infected, every password they've ever entered is going to be out there.
What's like the largest recommendation? Like avoid the information stealer. Could it just be to avoid this sponsored posts, really?
Sponsored posts. And believe it or not, people hate when I say this policy and enforce it. Tell your employees you cannot log on to any of our resource, but you shouldn't have to tell them that because it shouldn't be allowed. You should not be able to go to any company resource from a personal device. You should never have any of your resources internet facing. If you can go to email.com or whatever and get to your email, you're vulnerable. If I go to VPN, you're vulnerable. If I can get to any resource, your firewall or anything, you're vulnerable. And saying, oh, I'll just, sometimes you want to put IP addresses so you only can get to it from a certain IP address, but you can get around that too. But I'm not going to say it because we're recording, but I'll tell you guys afterwards. Do you not know that I can still send an email? Because if they put that little policy in and you try to send it, it's going to say you're not coming from inside of us. But I have a little router and I can pretty much become any IP address I want to, and it'll see it and it'll just let me send an email anyway. So there's a way, but see, that's thinking like a hacker. And you know what the problem is with most companies, why they get breached? It's not the fault of the person, because if you're a network engineer and you're trying to do cyber too, it's like being a police officer and a firefighter. What do you do when somebody's getting robbed and there's a fire? Which one do you do? So if you're working a job where you're doing both, find another job. You're going to burn out. It's never going to work because you're never going to get to cyber because the internet being up is more important. But to a cyber person, when the internet is down, we're dancing. We could give a damn. That means nobody can get inside. The internet has become, it's just, nobody needs the internet. I hate the internet sometimes. I tell people I hate computers. And they're like, what? This is what you do. Because it's just so vulnerable. And I guarantee you, start talking about, and you don't think this stuff is listening to you. Start talking to Siri and see what Siri does. You start getting ads and everything. Everything is connected. But whenever you sign up or do anything or go to a website, read their terms and conditions. Facebook is telling you I can turn on your camera. I can steal all your contacts. You can never delete the data. Once you have it on there, it's there. If you think it's deleted, go to the Wayback Machine and type in a website that you might have posted a picture on and you think you deleted it. It's out there. Did you not know the government has servers, but they're held in Canada? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Every website, everything you post is stored forever. Now that's just the front end that we have access to on the Wayback Machine. So you can imagine what they have. But those are the type of things you learn from coming to conferences. So don't leave here today and have imposter syndrome, because it's not something you cure. It's like PTSD. But what you can do is you can really sit down with your boss and say, this is why I need to go to these conferences. I learned something I never would have known without coming. And if they say, well, you know, we spend too much money, we don't have enough money, but they'll pay a $15 million ransom, it can be avoided. Just imagine right now, if your company is on the dark web, which you can do a scan. I'll tell you guys how to do a scan, and you can find your company information out there. And they not know about it. The CISOs and all this, the CFO, all their credentials being out there and them not knowing it. And then they wonder why breaches happen all the time. You have to be able to go to conferences. You don't have to go to all of them, but like DEF CON and things like that, hacker conferences, the corporate conferences, the talks will probably put you to sleep. But if you learn and stick with this community, you'll become better and better. But you have to put in the time and the dedication. And this is my word, and it's being recorded. If you ain't satisfied with your job and they're not doing you right, don't go in there and cuss them out. Let me call them and do it. But you reach out to me on LinkedIn. You don't have to do it in front of people. If you don't feel it right, I will help you find another job. I will go to every resource I have. And I know some big Bison Board. He's a very good guy, billionaire. I know billionaires in this field that will give you a chance, regardless of how many certificates you have, or even if you've gone to school. If you have a home lab and you're trying to learn the stuff on your own, they'll give you a shot. The CISO from Ashley Madison, we were talking at RSA. He hires people not for their degrees, but he asked them, what type of home server do you have? What type of things are you doing on your own? That's how he hires people. And you know why jobs aren't filled? Look at everybody in this room. If you came here, you're trying. That means you're qualified. In my eyes, there's not a shortage. They're just looking for the wrong people. So don't get imposter syndrome like I had and go around and think that you're not good enough because someone's not giving you a chance. Reach out to me and I'll help you. I've helped hundreds of people find jobs because that's my dedication. I dedicated my time as a teacher, and I dedicate my time to this community because the only way we're going to get better is to stick together, because we're never going to get better if we can't see things like this. So if that's you, you don't have to, put yourself out there, but I will help you. And I won't sleep until I find you a job. I'll call every resource I know. And I've got people hired like that. One young lady got laid off when we were at a conference. She got a job 15 minutes later. And now she goes around the country talking. And she works for one of the biggest penetration testing companies in the country. And she wasn't a pen tester. But she was crying. So I'm like, are you okay? Because I have feelings when I see somebody cry. She said, they laid me off. I don't even know how I'm going to pay for all of this. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? She said, I want to be a pen tester, and I didn't like the job anyway. So I was like, check this out. The CEO was over there. And I was like, this young lady just lost her job. She wants to be a pen tester. I said, she's dedicated. Didn't even know her from a hole in the wall. I was hoping she was all right. He liked her when he talked to her because of her attitude towards cyber. And he hired her on the spot. He said, in 2 weeks, you can start. Right at the conference. They hire people at conferences. Black hat sucks, but you can go there and get a job. You can get a job at Black Hat. They have rooms where they interview people. TikTok was just hiring people one year. And you walk by their booth 4 times. Hey, I'm like, no, you asked me already. That's how desperate they are to find good people. And if you don't have the skill set, I will help you get there. If I have to do a training class on Saturday, I will do whatever it takes to help anybody that wants help, like I would do with my students. Just because my students are out there in the field does not mean I'm not their professor anymore. I told them until they put me in the ground, I'm going to help people to advance. And I'm going to do my little dirt when I get pissed off with people, but that's something else. Oh, it's recorded. I'm probably in trouble. But if that's you, please reach out to me. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn, and I will help you. And that's my promise to you guys. So I'm glad that you came to talk, and I know I got off topic, but I'm passionate about cyber. And I don't want anybody in this room to ever walk away thinking that you're not good enough. Because if you're feeling like that and you got imposter syndrome, it's not you, it's who you're working for. I have one of the best bosses, and he doing the interviews like, I'm not a micromanager, I'm thinking, but he's not. He's gave me complete reins to do whatever I wanted to do, to develop assessments, and he never questions anything I do. And I fly all over the country talking to people all the time. But I'm more of a motivational speaker, because 45 minutes, I can't teach you this. But if you want to learn it, I will start up a class on Saturday or Sunday, whenever you got time, and I'll teach you how to do all this. And I'll bring my Russian friend on there, and he can really, because he's the coder. I will do whatever it takes to get you where you need to be and get you in what job you want to do. That's my dedication to everybody that comes to conferences, and I'm here for you. So if you need me, I'm here. But I'm glad you guys came out. I know I got a little personal, but I'm just that passionate about cyber. I hate to see when somebody has to come out of their own pocket to pay for a conference to help a job out. Now, I'm not saying you go and say, I want to go to every conference, but go to the important ones. And the hacker ones, they pretty much don't cost that much. The major ones is just for networking. But that's my promise to you guys. So if you need me, I'm here. But thank you for listening to my boring talk.